I woke up in the middle of the night to see two hands wrapped around my bedroom doorframe, fingers gripping the wood like claws. When I shined my flashlight, they jerked back into the darkness. The next morning, I found the fingerprints exactly where those hands had been. This wasn't a nightmare. If stories of real-life terror and the lengths we go to reclaim our safety speak to you, smash that subscribe button right now. Hit like on this video and drop a comment telling me if you've ever felt truly unsafe in your own home. This story will remind you why locking your door isn't paranoia, it's survival. My dream was always simple: get my own place. While most teenagers fantasized about cars or travel, I fixated on one thing: escape. My childhood home wasn't violent, but it was suffocating. My dad spent weekends drowning in bottles, his words slurring into accusations and disappointments. My mom existed in a state of weary tolerance, too exhausted to intervene, too detached to care. We butted heads constantly, those walls echoing with arguments that went nowhere. As I got older and started noticing girls, the situation became unbearable. I couldn't bring anyone back to that chaos. Can you imagine trying to explain your drunk father stumbling through the living room while you're trying to have a normal conversation? The embarrassment alone was crushing. So I made a plan. The moment I turned 19 and started community college, not away because my parents refused to pay for that, I began hunting for my escape route. Every single day, I refreshed Zillow. I scrolled through Facebook Marketplace until my eyes burned. I dove into the sketchy depths of Craigslist, filtering through scams and overpriced dumps. I was obsessed, determined, desperate for independence. And then, finally, I found it. A rental listing that seemed almost too good to be true. Affordable, available immediately, and in a decent area near campus.
I didn't hesitate. I scheduled a viewing for the next day. Walking into that apartment for the first time felt like stepping into possibility. The front door opened directly into a combined living room and dining area, one open, breathable space that immediately felt more welcoming than anywhere I'd ever lived. To the left, separated by a single wall, was the kitchen, small but functional. Then came the hallway, stretching toward the back of the unit with two closets flanking it. One I'd eventually use for pantry overflow, the other for storage. The bathroom sat midway down that hallway, and at the very end, the bedroom. That bedroom sold me instantly. It was generously sized, easily fitting a queen bed with room to spare, two closets, space for dressers, a TV, actual furniture. I could envision my life here, my independent, private, autonomous life. The rent fit my tight budget perfectly. I signed the lease that week and moved in within the month. Life was fine, better than fine actually. I had space, privacy, freedom. No more weekend drunk dad, no more suffocating arguments. Just me, my classes, and the intoxicating newness of being on my own. A few months passed in this comfortable routine. Then one night, everything changed. I was out with friends at a local bar when we ran into some girls from school. One of them was Sammy, someone I'd known casually through classes but never really hung out with outside of campus. We clicked that night. The conversation flowed. The drinks kept coming. When the bar closed, I invited her back to my place, and she agreed. We ended up on my couch, laughing, drinking cheap vodka, watching some forgettable movie neither of us were really paying attention to. There was chemistry, sure, but when things began heading in a certain direction, she gently pumped the brakes. She wasn't ready to take things further on a first hangout. I respected that completely. No pressure, no weirdness. Eventually, we moved to the bedroom to finish the movie, both of us getting comfortable. At some point, I can't even remember when, the alcohol and exhaustion pulled us both under. I passed out mid-scene, Sammy beside me. Then I woke up.
It was still deep in the night, that thick, disorienting darkness that makes you question what time it even is. But something had pulled me from sleep. Footsteps. Soft, deliberate footsteps in the hallway just outside my bedroom door. My heart immediately kicked into a higher gear. I turned my head. Sammy wasn't next to me. The bed was empty.
I sat up, squinting down the dark hallway toward the living room, and I could just barely make out her silhouette. She was by the couch, quietly gathering her things, her jacket, her purse, moving carefully like she was trying not to wake me. I understood immediately. She was leaving to avoid the awkward morning after conversation. Totally reasonable. I didn't want to embarrass her by calling out, so I stayed quiet, letting her slip out on her own terms. I heard her footsteps pad softly toward the front door, then the faint click of it opening. Then silence. Just to confirm she was actually gone, I called out softly. Nothing. No response. She was definitely gone. I exhaled, rolled back over, and let myself sink into the mattress. Within minutes, I drifted back to sleep, my brain still foggy with alcohol and exhaustion. Then I woke up again. This time it was different. A loud noise, something falling maybe, or bumping against a wall jolted me awake. My eyes snapped open. My heart immediately began hammering against my ribs. Adrenaline flooded my system so fast I could feel it tingling in my fingertips. I called out again, louder this time. Silence. No response, no movement, nothing. But I knew she was gone. I knew I'd heard her leave. So why was I hearing noises? I grabbed my phone from the nightstand, my hands shaking slightly. I typed out a text to Sammy's number. Are you still in my house? I know how weird that sounds, but in that moment, I was genuinely scared. I needed confirmation that I was alone, that my mind wasn't playing tricks on me.
I looked toward my bedroom door. I'd been too lazy, too drunk to get up and close it after Sammy left, so it was still hanging open, a dark rectangle framing the even darker hallway beyond. And as my eyes adjusted, I saw something that made my blood turn to ice. There was something wrapped around the doorframe. I couldn't process what I was seeing. My brain refused to accept it. But as I stared, the shapes became unmistakable. 2 hands, human hands, fingers curled around the edge of the doorframe, gripping the wood, just holding there. My breathing stopped. My entire body locked up. I couldn't move, couldn't scream, couldn't think. I don't know how I had the presence of mind to do this, but somehow, through the terror, I swiped down on my iPhone screen to pull up the control center. My thumb found the flashlight button. I pressed it. The beam of light cut through the darkness, illuminating the doorframe. And I saw them, clear as day. 2 pale hands, fingers wrapped around the wood, frozen in the light. A light hit them. They reacted. The fingers tightened, squeezed, and then jerked back, yanking out of sight in one violent motion, disappearing into the black hallway like they'd been burned. That's when I screamed. I don't even remember forming the words, but suddenly I was yelling at the top of my lungs, "Get out! Get out! Get out!" Over and over, my voice raw and cracking with pure terror. I was screaming into the void, into the darkness, at whatever the hell had just been standing outside my bedroom door watching me sleep.
Finally, my body caught up with my brain. I threw myself out of bed and lunged for the light switch, flooding the bedroom with harsh, artificial light. I stood there, chest heaving, scanning every corner, every shadow. The hallway looked empty. I forced myself to breathe, to listen, to focus. After a few minutes of standing there, straining my ears for any sound, footsteps, breathing, I worked up the courage to move. I checked the hallway closets first, empty, then the bathroom, clear. I crept into the main living area, my phone still clutched in my hand like some pathetic substitute for a weapon, and hit every light switch I passed. The living room lit up, the kitchen, everything. I checked behind the couch, under the tables. I even opened the lower kitchen cabinets, half expecting someone to lunge out at me. Nothing. No one.
The apartment was empty. But here's the thing that didn't make sense. I never heard the front door close. Not after Sammy left, and not after whatever that was. If someone had been in here and then fled, I would have heard the door. I would have heard footsteps running. Something. I ran to the front door and immediately locked it, my hands fumbling with the deadbolt. Then I grabbed my phone and started calling Sammy, over and over until she finally picked up, her voice thick with sleep and confusion. "Are you still in my house?" I blurted out. "What? No, I left like an hour ago. I couldn't sleep, so I just went home." "Why?" I didn't explain. I couldn't. My bad. Thought I heard something. Sorry for waking you. We hung up. I went back to my bedroom, shut the door, locked it, and somehow managed to fall back asleep. The next morning, I did another sweep of the apartment in the daylight. Everything was fine. Nothing missing, no signs of forced entry. I felt a little foolish, honestly. I went about my day, trying to shake off the lingering unease. But then, at some point in the afternoon, I thought back to those hands, to the image of them gripping the doorframe, and something nagged at me. I walked back to my bedroom. I stood in the doorway and looked at the frame, and my heart stopped. There, in the exact positions where I'd seen those hands gripping the wood, were fingerprints. Clear, unmistakable fingerprints. Smudges and oils left behind by someone's fingers pressing into the painted surface. I felt dizzy. The room tilted. My stomach dropped. It wasn't a hallucination. Someone had been in my apartment. Someone had stood outside my bedroom door in the middle of the night, gripping the frame, watching me sleep. And when I shined the light on them, they fled. I pulled out my phone and took a picture of the fingerprints. I still have that photo in my iCloud to this day. Proof, evidence that I wasn't crazy. I called my dad. I hated doing it, but I didn't know who else to turn to. I explained what happened, downplaying, trying to sound rational, and he basically called me an idiot.
You didn't lock the door? Are you serious? Jesus. Well, nothing's stolen, no one's there now, so take it as a lesson. Lock your damn door. And as much as I hated to admit it, he was right. It was a harsh, cold assessment, but not wrong. I never figured out who came into my apartment that night. I never learned why they chose to do the single creepiest thing imaginable instead of just robbing me or leaving. But I learned my lesson. When my lease ended a year later, I moved to a different apartment, a better one, and I never, ever forgot to lock my door again. Sometimes I still think about those hands, about the way they tightened when the light hit them, about the fingerprints left behind like a signature. Whoever you were, wherever you are now, I hope you found help, because what you did that night will haunt me forever. What would you have done in that situation? Have you ever experienced something that made you question your own reality, only to find proof later that it was real? Drop your story in the comments below. And if this story gave you chills, hit that like button and subscribe for more true tales that'll make you double check your lucks tonight. Stay safe out there.